will avoid these showers, particularly towards the north and east, where it should stay dry and pretty bright, if not sunny. We have higher temperatures forecast for many as we go into the weekend, particularly across central and eastern parts, peaking around 32 or 33.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, in the next hour, we are going to be doing Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition, and it's all to play for because it looks as though the Prime Minister might follow the US into a bombing raid in Iran. Are you happy with that? Benefits bill is booming. That's going right through the roof. Do you want to have to pay more tax for the feckless and the work-shy? And, of course, we're also going to be talking about the fact that Pakistan is refusing to take back members of their grooming gangs. Have we really got no leverage there? Stay tuned.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash so you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
I'm Patrick Christys, and this is Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition.
I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this.
That direct quote is on several of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Will President Trump bomb Iran? Will he not? He's in the war room right now as we speak, amid rumours that he's just approved an attack. But the propaganda wars are already underway. You are currently watching footage from the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini's Twitter account declaring the Islamic Republic will deal heavy blows to the evil Zionist army. But tonight, sirens have been sounding over Tel Aviv amid concerns of more Iranian strikes. But Meanwhile, a shocking front-page story from the Daily Telegraph. We can't deport two prolific members of that Rochdale Pakistani rape gang because Pakistan won't take them back. Plus, 3, 2, 1, blast off! For tonight's finale, we are taking you to space, as some shocking news has revealed how you, yes you, could soon be living on Mars. Joining me... Joining me this evening, we have got former Conservative MP Alexander Stafford, journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov, and GBNews contributor, comedian and fan favourite, the one and only Simon Evans. But first, well, let's get all your latest bulletins from Katie, shall we?
Patrick, thank you and good evening. Your latest headlines from the GB newsroom. Israel and Iran have continued to attack each other this evening. That's as President Donald Trump has reaffirmed tonight that he has not yet made a final decision on striking Iran, adding that he believed Iran was close to developing a nuclear weapon before Israeli attacks began. The United States is now working to evacuate US citizens from Israel by arranging flights and cruise ship departures. President Trump has added that a deal with Iran could still be happening. The Wall Street Journal also reporting tonight that President Trump has approved plans to attack Iran, but is holding off on giving the final order to see if Tehran will abandon its nuclear program. President Trump's intervention comes as Sir Keir Starmer has chaired a meeting of the Emergency Cobra Committee to discuss the security situation in the Middle East. European ministers are set to hold nuclear talks with Iran on Friday in Geneva, while David Lammy is travelling to Washington for talks with his US counterpart, Marco Rubio. Footage has been released which shows the British sole survivor of the Air India plane crash attending his brother's funeral. Air India have also said today that the sole survivor, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, has been discharged from hospital. He attended the funeral of his brother AJ, who died in the London-bound plane that crashed after takeoff from Ahmedabad on the 12th of June, killing at least 270 people. The chairman of Air India has said today that preliminary findings from the investigation should be available in 30 days, although there were no red flags or maintenance issues with the Boeing Dreamliner. The family of a grandmother who died after contracting rabies has said that she was scratched, quote, very lightly by a puppy while visiting Morocco in February. Yvonne Ford's family said she only became ill 2 weeks ago, starting with a headache and resulting in her becoming unable to walk, talk, sleep or swallow. Ms Ford from Barnsley, South Yorkshire, died last Wednesday. The UK Health Security Agency said that there's no risk to the wider public because there is no evidence that rabies can be passed between people. Elsewhere, Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander has described the HS2 project and its management as no less than a litany of failure. The government has announced that the opening of HS2 will be delayed beyond the planned date of 2033. Heidi Alexander told Parliament there's no reasonable way to deliver the high-speed railway on schedule and within budget. The project has already suffered repeated delays and soaring costs despite being scaled back. Nigel Farage has called for HS2 to be scrapped and for the money to be spent upgrading railway lines across the entirety of the United Kingdom. And a very brief breaking update from Russia this evening. President Putin has said that he is ready to meet, quote, anyone to discuss his war with Ukraine, including Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, with a meeting possible after the 22nd of June. And speaking to the press, the Russian president said that it is important Ukraine's next president does not dispute any future agreement, and he added that President Trump is right when saying that the war in Ukraine would never have happened had he been the president. More on those comments shortly. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now let's go back to Patrick.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition. We've got a heck of a lot to get stuck into in all of Thursday's front pages. Let's start with The Independent. I may do it I may not. This is President Trump taunting Iran over the airstrikes. There's a couple of developments since they went to print. It appears that President Trump is in the Situation Room in the White House. He may well have approved an attack plan, and we'll have to wait and see as well whether our Prime Minister joins in, but more on that in a second. The Metro have gone for just Armageddon, and they've spelt that, obviously, they've emphasised Don there for Donald Trump. They've got Trump versus the Ayatollah, and they're talking about the possibility, yet again, for World War III. If we move ourselves on now to the I. UK tries to delay NATO 5% defence pledge as Trump threatens defiant Iranian leader. I heard earlier today that the Prime Minister was going to try to use rural broadband expenditure in his defence spending, which, I mean, is a bit bonkers considering we're also using what we're giving to Mauritius. But anyway, let's go to the Daily Telegraph. Now, this is a fascinating story because one of the big questions in light of all the other front pages on World War III and Iran and Israel is what will Britain do? Well, our Attorney General, Lord Hermer, appears to say that the war on Iran may be illegal and wants only a limited defensive role provided by Britain. So we will discuss that later on. Is that what we really want? We go to The Sun. War of the words, they say. Trump's threat as Iran vows no mercy. So there's a theme here on all the front pages. Let's go to the Daily Express, who have decided, thankfully, to mix it up a bit. Assisted dying law would be a wonderful present for mum, which is another Esther Ranson story here. Dame Esther's daughter calls on MPs to give us a choice over our deaths. I just feel, you know, what's going on in Britain at the moment? We've had essentially the legalisation of baby killing earlier on, and now we're also going to have assisted dying when it comes to the elderly and the infirm as well. But keep going to the Daily Mail. Benefits bill is on course to rocket by £18 billion a year. We are going to return to that in that section. How do you feel about that, presumably as a taxpayer? The Daily Mirror, PIP cuts a catastrophe. They've decided to take a slightly different route on this. They don't like the Prime Minister's benefits. Bonanza. Right, and one more, why not? The Guardian, I may do, I may not. Trump keeps world waiting on US joining war. And, in fact, there is one more to this as well. It's The Times. Britain could support US to strike Iran from the air. Fascinating to see how both The Times and the Daily Telegraph have got the polar opposite story on there. So depending on which one you buy tomorrow, you'll be getting a totally different angle on it. The Telegraph seem absolutely confident that our Attorney General would ban you from doing just that and bombing Iran. But let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got former Conservative MP Alexander Stafford, journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov, and GBNews contributor and comedian and fan favourite Simon Evans. Thank you very, very much. We're going to start with the Daily Telegraph, and it's that story on the right-hand side of it. The headline reads, Rochdale grooming gang cannot be deported. Bit of context here. Qari Abdul Rauf and Adil Khan, two of the ringleaders from Rochdale grooming gang that dates back years. One of the first grooming gangs that was outed, I suppose, really. Pakistan is not taking them back, supposedly. Simon, I'll start with you on this. Do you think this is Pakistan within their rights to refuse to take them back, do you think? Well,
you could talk about it morally, legally, ethically, whatever, or in terms of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The thing apparently hinges on what sounds almost like an absurd sort of parlour game where one of them had to tear his passport up and denounce and renounce his Pakistani citizenship before Britain could formalise the withdrawal of his British citizenship, and therefore they could not make him stateless. So it seems that this is some sort of degree of almost like kind of pick a card, any card, you pick the wrong one, you know. I mean, I don't know what would happen to him if he were stateless. I suppose this happened to Shamima Begum and so on, but it doesn't seem to me to be necessarily disproportionate to the extent of the crimes he's committed. I mean, obviously, you know, you can talk about it seriously, or you can sort of war game a few scenarios. I think there should be a little island, possibly one infected with anthrax, up in the Northern Hebrides, where we deposit people who don't fit into a neat box.
Who do things like commit horrendous crimes against children.
Or maybe find out what would happen to him in Pakistan if he were taken back there, or were to commit these crimes in Pakistan. Find out what would happen to him, bury him up to his neck and stone him to death. I mean, something like that, possibly.
Look, we are here ultimately to try to find solutions. Now, some of those might not be workable, but we're just spitballing. Well, let's just put it out there. Let's just put it out there. Alexander, I'll bring you in now. This is is well annoying, because surely we have some leverage over the Pakistani government, do we not, to make them
we have huge leverage we can use. And, like, in some ways, you can't blame the Pakistani government of not wanting these awful people back. We wouldn't want these sort of awful people, even they're British, back in our country. They're ghastly people. So Pakistan...
Happens every day, doesn't it? British rape gangs in Karachi.
Well, but I don't want those rape gangs of any sort around, but the Pakistani government clearly doesn't want them, so they're just using it for political leverage to try and potentially talking about getting their national airlines to coverage. So we should use the political leverage we have over Pakistan, whether it's visas, whether it's foreign aid, whether it's training Pakistani officers at Sandhurst.
Yes.
We should be putting pressure on the government saying, if you don't take these back, we're going to put other pressures on you and play this game. My concern in all the reporting is I haven't seen a single report of anyone, the British government, is willing to do any of this. Where is the UK government saying the usual channels, we might look at some visas, we might, of Pakistani nationals, we might look at some of the officers training at Sandhurst, we might look at some of the international bid. Where's the UK government playing the same game?
I feel like Pakistan owes the world quite a lot. I mean, they couldn't find bin Laden, even though he was just 5 minutes away from their largest military base. A bit miffed about that, I think, a lot of people in the West. And then they appear to have managed to import a huge number of child rapists, Nina, into Britain, especially in northern towns like Rochdale. And I can't help but wonder if maybe the least they could do is take a couple of those monsters back.
I think if somebody's a citizen of your country, they should be taken back. But they've denounced the citizenship, and that's.
But they're not just British, are they?
No,
because they were born in Pakistan.
But they perhaps have dual nationality. So
no, I get that. But if you're born in Pakistan, I mean, just because they've shredded the Pakistani passport.
Well, then you said that Shamima Begum we should take her.
Do you not think that every single person who might be deported back to a third world hellhole rather than spend their life at our expense could not just tear up their passport and make themselves...
I guess they could. But the point is, we don't know what discussions are going. Discussions are going on. Sources are saying that actually progress is being made, and we don't know what that progress is yet.
Well, very slow progress. It's been how many decades? It's been,
well, they were jailed in 2012.
Well, I agree. That was under the Tories. You know, the Tories failed to you know...
meanwhile,
you can't blame Keir Starmer for not deporting them back in that time. And to be fair, Keir Starmer and his government have deported another 3 in the last 9 months. Yes, but you were talking about 2.
That's half an entire row of airplanes.
Yes, but you can't whine about 2 if you say 3's not important.
No, I get it.
Please, be logical.
No, but I just think it's absolutely
ludicrous.
We like to use the phrase that even if people who basically live in kind of completely separate, detached society, but because they were born here, they're British.
Yeah,
if they were born in Pakistan, then they are Pakistani.
The 3-2 ratio, the point with the 3-2 ratio, and you're saying it's illogical, if they deported 500 but only 2 were providing a sticking point, then it would be newsworthy and we'd be discussing them from that point of view. If they've deported 3 and already 2 are not... It's obviously failing, isn't it?
It's not failing. The Conservative government failed to deport these 2.
They did.
No, don't worry,
and the Labour government has managed to deport 3.
All right.
Okay?
Right, now...
You're the one who's going on about 2.
Well, it's just annoying that they aren't all gone, isn't it? But anyway,
Pakistan has deported thousands of...
Yes, that's true.
Absolutely thousands of them, and I doubt very much they all had their passports in order as they were chucked back across the border.
But it's almost like what you seem to be saying there is the outrageous slur that Pakistan cares less about international law than us. So, anyway, the Daily Mail now. Now, this is just a completely different front page. They've got benefits bill is on course to rocket by 18 billion quid a year. That's the same as the entire police budget. Let's just try to get a little bit more detail on this. Basically, it's sickness benefits on course to rise by 18 billion. Work and Pension Secretary Liz Kendall is facing a furious backlash from Labour MPs, apparently, who are warning that cruel cuts to disability benefits will drive hundreds of thousands into poverty. Can someone make sense of this for me, really? Because, I mean, it seems like the benefits are going up, but Labour also wants to cut welfare, so I can't quite work out what's going on. Anyone?
Well, apparently, according to Liz Kendall, there are 1,000 new PIP awards every day, which seems to be madness. We seem to be the sickest, most incompetent workforce of any country in the world. I think there's 1 million under 30s who are supposedly unfit for work. I cannot cope with that. I know you expect me to think this is all dreadful and people are going to suffer because, and sadly, people are going to suffer. But the point being that we have got ourselves into this situation where a lot of young people think that they are unfit for work. There are, of course, there are many people who have genuine disabilities and problems, but there are a lot of people, I think, who do not.
Take. Absolutely. Come on, can I just...
It says here, this is going back to the Telegraph for this detail, 5 million people currently claim disability benefits in England and Wales. That must be something like 1 in 7 of the workforce.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
that can't be true. That can't be true. That cannot be.
Well, sadly,
real.
I think it probably is.
The fact the bill's rising from £23 billion to £31 billion in the space of 5 years. How can you go in 5 years they're expecting to go so much? That doesn't make sense. No. Where is the new sickness?
Unless it's people who are expected to arrive in that time.
It's mental health.
But let's just have a look, because that's the Daily Mail from it. Can we compare and contrast it to the Mirror? Because this is fascinating to look at. You know, you've got the right of the British press there, the Daily Mail, dealing with the same story as the left wing of the British press, which is the Daily Mirror, and the Mail have gone benefits bill on course to rocket by 18 billion quid a year. The Mirror, of course, take the view that cutting it would be a catastrophe.
Well, not just a catastrophe, it's two different stories. If you just read the front pages, one would say, oh my gosh, it's going up hugely. The other would say, oh my gosh, people have all their benefits cut, and it's going down.
These two stories are true at the same time. The people who genuinely need help should get the help, and there are those people who need help who are not now going to get help. Carers are one situation. Our unjoined up health system means that so many people in families are carers because there is no social care for them.
Yeah, but if you had social care for them, then you'd have an enormous bill. We've already got a vast bill we can't afford.
But there are people who genuinely need to be cared for.
They would just be taken away, and then those people would have to be looked after by somebody else.
Labour had an solution on the front page.
Who were a carer would then be working and giving all their money away in tax.
Labour's solution to that problem here on the front page of Daily Express. That will solve all your problems. Put the two together. Surely this is the Labour plan. Happy days.
Go on, bring them both up. Hang on.
Cut the benefits and increase this.
There's a lovely detail on that front page, the Esther Ransom one. It says it would be a lovely present for her on an anniversary she did not think she would live to see, her 85th birthday. The very specific detail on which the assisted dying bill rests is whether or not you're guaranteed to die.
That's so true. No, hang on, sorry, I know we're pressed for time here, but just on that, just drill down onto that one again, Simon, because she wasn't expected to see this birthday.
And it would be, it says, it would be an absolutely wonderful birthday present for her on her 85th birthday, a milestone the TV star feared she would not see.
Oh.
But turns out she can live that little bit longer.
Right.
Yes.
I don't think it's right to laugh at Esther Ransom and her situation.
Esther Ransom is holding an entire nation to hostage with her poor situation.
She is dying, and we don't know in what condition she's dying, in what awful condition
I'm afraid it's my job to laugh at the news, and that includes an appalling assisted dying bill to which I object strenuously because it gets
I am all for it.
euthanasia.
I am absolutely all for it. I really am. We should be given a choice in what we do with our own lives.
You're perfectly entitled to laugh at people who don't think it should be allowed.
OK.
I'm not laughing at you.
Esther Ransom's particular celebrity and the degree to which her particular plight has been used has been weaponised.
It's just because Esther Ransom has campaigned for many good things in the past.
OK, fine.
She's campaigning on behalf of a lot of people.
We've got to go. Right, we've got to go. There we go. Lively, isn't it? Ironically, given what we just talked about. Anyway, coming up, could have picked a better word there. As President Trump convenes in the war room, that's right, over whether to bomb Iran, we'll be hearing from an Iranian dissident who has spoken out against the Ayatollahs. But which one? Do you know the difference between your Ayatollahs?
I do, there's only two.
OK, well, this is Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, experts are warning that lithium suppliers will not keep up with the demand for electric cars.
Yeah, researchers say domestic lithium production could grow as much by about 10 times what it currently is by 2030, but will still fall short of demand.
So this morning we're asking whether Labour's green car policy is unachievable.
This policy tells you everything you need to know about net zero. This isn't about giving people free choices about the technologies they want to use. This is about saying we're going to have mandatory targets. It's a sad indictment on our country if we've just normalised the government making these fundamental decisions for people's lives. The CEBR has warned that this policy might cost the country. That's rigid targets for battery electric vehicles, known as the ZEV mandate. 80% of all vehicles will have to be electric vehicles by 2030, rising to 100% by 2035. And that policy is expected to cost £400 billion to the UK economy. And of course, car makers as well have warned that this policy is not achievable.
The latest stats say 47% of vehicles sold in Britain are now EVs. We're halfway there after just 2 years of the electric mandate. We've another 5 years to go. It's speeding up. And this charge that lithium, we're going to have a shortage of lithium, is nonsense. What it says is that there may be the consumption of lithium is increasing, so the domestic production will not be sufficient, but there's plenty in the world.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. So, President Trump has headed to the Situation Room this evening, and it's a story that's leading, like most of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. So, the US media is reporting that apparently the president has approved attack plans for Iran. And he might still be hoping for Iran to get out of this by saying that they're going to stop with their nuclear program. However, will the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, relent? Well, here's an example of one of his tweets from earlier this evening. Yeah, so I don't really think he's relenting there, is he? That's the propaganda war that's going on at the moment. Khamenei isn't messing around. Live on your screens right now is the skyline of Tel Aviv. We will keep you up to date if there are any further exchanges of fire. I have got my panel here, and as I've said, it's on the front of most front pages tomorrow. But I'm joined now by Iranian dissident Niak Gorbani, as well as my wonderful panel. Niak, how are you?
Yeah.
Good. So, look, what do you make of what we're seeing here? You know, we've got war of the words, Trump's threat, Iran's vowing no mercy. What's going to happen?
I think this title is amazing title, War of the World. It's really amazing because when the Ayatollah fell down, it's going to be peace coming in first of all in Middle East and then in entire world, because the Ayatollahs always trying to express themselves around the world, and they actually want to export their ideology to, for example, right now here in UK.
So just talk to us about that, because a lot of people might not necessarily realise that. Iran seems very far away, but the Ayatollah has exported his hate here, has he?
Absolutely, absolutely. They actually, if you seen the news on Saturday, they proudly won a march in Russell Square. Who? The people who actually claiming asylum, proudly they wanted going for support the Ayatollahs. When you're running away from the Ayatollah here in UK, get the asylum, how you want to go and raising their flag and the Islamic Republic flag and proudly supporting them.
So you think that Iran is importing fake asylum seekers?
Absolutely.
So that they can increase...
Use them.
Right.
They use them. They use them. If actually we're seeing, I think 1.5 months ago, 9 who get arrested. That wasn't actually intelligent service. That was asylum. They use this way to actually export their hate and threat.
So what do you want Britain to do? The big talk at the moment is President Trump going to help Israel and try to kill the Ayatollah? But we are seeing here, and we'll talk about this shortly with my panel, but as far as our top lawyer in this country is concerned, if we went to war with Iran, it might be illegal.
1979, the Labour government, that was Labour government, helped Khomeini to come to power. That wasn't illegal? That was illegal. Okay, if you want to, change the history, if you want to clear everything in past, you have to act right now against terrorists, not the regime, secular regime. They are terrorists. 2019, 2017, 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, they kill Iranian people. When uprising happened, they kill Iranians. They are illegal. They are illegally in power. You have to take action against them if you care about the humanity.
Well, that's good. I'll stay where you are. I'll bring my panel into this now. Simon, I'll start with you. So I'm just going to read out a line here from the Daily Telegraph. It is understood that Lord Hermer is reluctant to sign off on any offensive operations. One official who'd seen his legal advice said the Attorney General has concerns about the UK playing any role in this except for defending our allies. What do you make of that from the Attorney General?
Well, obviously, Lord Hermer is a significantly more qualified lawyer than I am. I've completed my LLB back in 1986, got a 2-2 and bid it farewell, and it hasn't greatly troubled my reading material ever since. But I can't help but notice, on the one hand, I'm a little bit torn here, to be honest. On the one hand, Lord Hermer has an almost unblemished record of standing up for Islamist terrorists and their close relatives, for instance, Ringo Jihadi and his mother. And, of course, we are all aware of it's a matter of record, and it's on the front page of most of the papers. As I say, even by the cab rank principle, he does seem to have an extraordinarily canny eye for spotting an Islamic jihadi that he can try and get off on some technicality. So the fact that he is probably putting obstacles between Britain and any involvement in an attack on Iran is perhaps tainted by that reflection. On the other hand, I do have to say, in response to what you just said, that if Britain or indeed America were to get involved in launching an otherwise unprovoked attack on any regime they consider to be behaving badly towards its own citizens, it would be a very busy night sky.
It would.
And I do think this is fundamentally Israel's war, and I think we should let them do it.
OK, fair enough. That's your views. Nina, where are you on this, then?
Well, I think it's an absolutely terrifying situation because you're watching Donald Trump producing a reality show. That's what he's doing. He's producing a TV show. That's part of what he likes. The whole of the world is watching what's he going to do next. It's his dream come true. He's such a narcissist. He's at the middle. Everybody's hanging.
Hang on a minute. Do we shed a tear for the Ayatollah?
No, we don't shed a tear for the Ayatollah. Certainly not. But read here. It says Britain's capabilities extend from offering air and maritime logistics support in the Gulf to shooting down attack drones targeting Israel, or even firing submarine-launched missiles at Iran. So, in fact, that's quite a lot that we can do. I am absolutely horrified that we would be drawn into it to that extent. And the idea that we should be some part of some regime change, that's our.
We've not got the best track record. We've not got the best track record with regime change in the Middle East, Alex. I will grant that.
No, to me, what I always find weird is when people can say a war can be legal or illegal. I mean, the whole notion of a war being legal or illegal is crazy. Well, they're doing something in our country's interest, and obviously there's a debate whether it is or not, or we're not doing something in interest. To say it can be an illegal war is crazy. We should always stand with our allies, whether that is joining a task force or it's basically telling them to rein back is so important. So I don't think we should listen to any sort of advice, legal, illegal. Personally, I don't think we should be getting involved in this. This is Israel's war. Israel has done, frankly, the West's dirty work and good thing to take out some of the nuclear capabilities. But should we try and push for regime change?
Well, let me put that... Yeah, you go.
I want to just tell you, the Iranians never asking you to involve to the Ayatollah's war. This is Ayatollah's war, not the Iranian people's wars. First of all. And the second thing, it's if you want to show your solidarity with humanity, not just, with your allies or stuff like that, you have to shut all the embassies down here with the terrorists. They managing the terrorist attack here in this country against the Israelis actually embassy. Israeli embassy, it's Israel embassy, but it's in your soil. What you want to do? You have to shut the all actually embassy down and deport all the diplomats to Iran. And let's see.
I spent some time in Iran about 10 years ago now, a long time. And one thing I found really refreshing was the Iranian people, how open they were to me, as sort of Westerner walking around, travelling around, how much, frankly, everyone said they disliked the regime, how much they were anti the regime. And I did ask them a question, like, why don't you do something about it, being naive Western? And they said,
kill us.
Yes, they literally said, they will shoot us, so we can't do anything.
Yeah.
But they were quite open, saying, we don't like the regime, we love the West. This was when Ahmadinejad was president. And they come out to say, we love the West, we love Britain, we love America. It's the government, which we hate, but we can't do anything about it.
It's like walking around Birmingham, Liverpool or Manchester, isn't it?
Yeah, there we go. All right, we've got to go. Sorry, because we've got some more news to... Hey, but thank you for coming in. And good luck. Make sure you keep going, because I know lots of people want to try to kill you. So there we go. Coming up, the world exclusive with the only survivor of the Air India plane crash is out. And also how the EU is plotting to charge you to visit. Yes, it's nearly time for the Inside Stories. It's Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
Good evening. I'm here with your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. We are now in a heat wave, and we're going to continue to see these heat wave conditions for some lingering right through the weekend. It's all because, well, high pressure is across us at the moment, and that's bringing a lot of sunshine for many places, and that's leading to some pretty high temperatures of building. But taking a look as we go through tonight, and there's a bit more cloud across some parts of Scotland, central into northern Scotland as well, with a little bit of drizzly rain across far western parts. Away from this, though, lots of clear skies and lots of dry weather to be had, and temperatures not dropping a huge amount, so it is going to be a particularly warm night for many places, some places holding up in the high teens Celsius. So it is going to be a fine start to the day for most, and across the bulk of England and Wales, a sunny start, just a bit of cloud towards some eastern parts of England first thing. Heading further north and across Northern Ireland and Northern England, lots of sunshine here through the morning. Meanwhile, for Scotland, a cloudier picture here, particularly across central and western parts, a bit of rain at times. Meanwhile, across the north, away from Orkney and Shetland, where there will be a few showers, many parts of northern and eastern Scotland having a bright start. But that cloud across central parts of Scotland does feed a little bit further northwards, so northern and eastern parts turning a bit cloudier as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere and across the rest of the country, well, it is looking largely sunny, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising a few degrees higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 30 Celsius for some places, so feeling pretty hot indeed. With that hot weather, though, there's the risk of some showers, and these are going to affect some western parts as we go through Friday. Can't rule out a bit of thunder, but most of us will avoid these showers, particularly towards the north and east, where it should stay dry and pretty bright, if not sunny. We have higher temperatures forecast for many as we go into the weekend, particularly across central and eastern parts, peaking around 32 or 33.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition. I'm just going to remind you of a couple of the front pages. We start with the I. UK tries to delay NATO 5% defence pledge, so we don't want to do 5% on defence. The Telegraph says that Lord Hermer, the Attorney-General, thinks that war with Iran might be illegal. The Sun goes for President Trump and the Ayatollah, war of the words. The Daily Express, assisted dying law would be wonderful present for mum. It's another Esther Ranson story there on assisted dying. The Daily Mail, benefits bill is on course to rocket by 18 billion quid. The Daily Mirror take, well, the opposite view. PIP cuts will be a catastrophe. And The Guardian say, I may do, I may not. Trump keeps world waiting on US joining the war in Iran. The Times, Britain could support a US strike on Iran. Right, so I'm still joined by my wonderful panel, of course. We've got some news for you that's on the inside pages of tomorrow's Sun newspaper, and it is that one small boat migrant arrived every 5 minutes in the last week. So, yeah, that's one small boat migrant arriving every 5 minutes in the past week. 2,222 have made the journey. That's more than 40,000 since Labour came to power, which is mental, actually, when you think about it, isn't it? So, there we go. Well, at least we've got a new metric for now deciding how many of them have come over and how we're quantifying it.
It's like the hole in the ozone layer, isn't it? It used to be the size of Wales, whereas... and then there was the amount of rainforest that was destroyed every day. I don't know how useful it is, or like an African child dies every time I click my fingers.
Well, that was really unuseful, actually, because he should have just stopped clicking his fingers,
Everyone saw through that immediately. I mean, you don't really need to have new statistics. We know it's a catastrophe. We know that no progress has been made. Starmer comes in, I'm going to smash the gangs, does nothing. Is exactly as bad as Trump, I'm going to stop the war in Ukraine, does nothing. Empty, hot air.
Every 5 minutes.
That thing is, it's so depressing now, because every time I wake up in the morning, I look out the window and say, oh, it's a glorious day, and looking forward to going out, putting the barbecue on, going out in the garden, enjoying time with the kids. But the back of my mind says, but also there's going to be another few illegal migrants coming, because as soon as it's good weather, they come over, which is why we've had so many this week. And that's the sad truth now. I can't enjoy the good weather anymore because I know what the good weather will now leave this country.
You know, the thing is, you cannot say that Keir Starmer's doing nothing. You absolutely can't do that. This law is going to come into force in France in a couple of weeks' time, beginning of July. That means that the French police can actually go into the water up to 300 metres, which is actually, seems to me, a complete recipe for disaster, you know. French police with tear gas, women and children, boats, you know, trying to knife.
Weren't they handing out life jackets the other day?
Yes, but you can't allow people to.
You're saying, firstly, that we can't complain he's doing nothing, and secondly, the thing he's doing is a recipe for disaster.
Well, it is all disastrous because it's going to come to some kind of terrible clash in the water. That's the awful thing.
But sound like the French police I know.
Is there 300 metres they can push the boats further out?
No,
the French police will push them further out.
The thing is, they are trying to do something. I mean, what would the Conservatives do?
Rwanda.
Oh, nothing.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
They had nothing. They did nothing.
Rwanda was a complete idiot. You know, it was a lunatic.
Well, of course, Rwanda was in part stopped because of the ECHR, which seamlessly ties us on to our next story. Thank you very much.
Smooth as landing on Brighton Beach.
Oh, yes, exactly.
But it was also our Supreme Court. Let's not just blame it on the ECHR.
Well, I haven't told everyone it is yet, neither.
It was our Supreme Court. Oh, sorry, OK.
No, thank you very much. It was a smooth, that. But anyway, all right. The Times' inside story is that the ECHR erodes public trust because it protects criminals. Not the words of me, but in fact the words of Labour's Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood. She now says that reform of the Human Rights Convention is vital to stop it being misused by those who break the rules. Her speech was made at the Council of Europe, which oversees the court, aligned Britain with 9 other countries pushing for reform of the 75-year-old European Convention on Human Rights. Well, I'm just not sure how we can actually do any of this, because that man again, our Attorney General, is on the front of the Telegraph and a couple of other papers as well, has stood in front of them all in Europe and said, we will never leave the ECHR. So they know we're not serious, don't they, Alice? They know we're not serious.
It's all virtual signal. We had Ramu recently talking about, was it chemically castrating paedophiles or rapists a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
She comes up with all the things. It's red meat to try and keep some of those red wall seats, Labour heartland, they're going to disappear away. The smart thing Keir Starmer would do, and he might still do ahead of the next general election, is actually say they'll pull out of the ECHR, because clearly the Conservatives are going to call for that. Clearly Reform are going to do that. That's clearly what the next general election will be fought on.
Right. Go on, Nina.
I mean, the ECHR was set up for a very, very good reason. And, you know, we all know what happened, you know, in the 30s, 40s in Europe. And everybody said, never again. Winston Churchill was very, very significant in setting the whole thing up. And, you know, Winston Churchill, hero, all of that. However, if she's saying that it needs to be changed, then I go along with that. And also, Maloney and also the Danish Prime Minister, the Danes are pretty hot on migration, are saying we want to spearhead a movement that was going to bring on the reforms that we want.
OK, or actually, sorry, we were going to skip this, but can we not? I want to do this. I think we've got time now. So the Sun's world exclusive, Miracle Brit Agony. So the Sun newspaper have got a world exclusive interview with the lone survivor of that Air India plane disaster, saying that he'll be racked with guilt for the rest of his life after a missed chance to move his brother's seat. The Sun met with Vishwash at his family home. As he rested up following his brother's funeral, he had tried to arrange 2 seats next to each other in row 11 by the emergency exit. By the time he came to choose the seats, other passengers were sitting in part of that row, so the brothers had to sit separately. So it's a catastrophic tale of survivor's guilt, really, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a horrible story. I can't imagine that if he had managed to achieve his aims, that their outcomes would have been better.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't sound like he was protected by anything other than sheer coincidence or chance.
Yeah.
You know, one in 250 or whatever to survive.
I mean, to be fair, what we do know is the person who did end up in the seat next to him didn't survive. So, I mean, it's no saying...
But I suppose he could have got to say goodbye.
He could have grabbed... You might have been able to grab him. You don't know. You don't know. Just take him with him. Because that's what he'll be thinking. Yeah. That's what he'll be thinking. And this is the awful thing. You know, if somebody dies, it's always if only, if only, if only, and that'll haunt him.
It's
very sad. Very, very sad.
You know, poor bloke, but incredibly lucky to have survived. OK, well, look, loads more coming your way, including this. I'm going to take you to Mars, everybody. Find out why very soon. Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat wave across Portugal, Spain and France is going to continue to build for the next couple of days. We're looking at temperatures in the mid to high 30s, possibly 40 Celsius for a few places. And with that heat, there's a risk of some hefty showers across Portugal and Spain. Some thundery downpours are possible. A few showers also possible further east, affecting Italy and into Greece and Turkey. But actually, through the outlook period, as we go towards the weekend, it's looking largely sunny for many and staying pretty hot.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Now get ready, everyone, because we are about to embark on a voyage into outer space. Yes, indeed. So, it's all got very spacey in here, hasn't it? Welcome to space. The European Space Agency has published a vision for the 2040 landings, what they want human life in space to look like, and it could look a bit like this. Hey! But probably not. Instead, picture this, OK? We are all living in mammoth constructions assembled in space to live and work in, whilst artificially intelligent robots have been sent out to conduct their own expeditions on distant worlds. The internet now spreads far beyond Earth, communication systems span the entire solar system, and humans become interplanetary species. To explain all of this, I'm joined now by the space and planetary scientist. It's Andy Loud. Andy, thank you very much. Can you explain to me what's going on here, then? So we're going to be on Mars by 2040, are we?
Hi. Yeah, well, what they're looking at, the European Space Agency, like NASA and other agencies, actually produce documents every so often looking at 15 years ahead, where they think they should be going and where they're aiming to. And technological developments which are happening at the moment at such a pace are quite phenomenal. And they're looking at the best way for space exploration, for developing the technologies which can also therefore be used back down here on Earth, and how space is moving forward. Space is going very differently now. And they put a great line in their document saying that space is no longer a frontier. It is, in fact, territory. And I think there's some truth in that, because what we're looking at with space now in the solar system, certainly with the moon, the asteroids, and certainly Mars in the short term, and the moons of Jupiter in the long term, is in a similar way where the Europeans spread out across this planet, where they started to colonize the Americas, Australia, and so on. And this is the stage we're at the moment within the solar system, with the development of technologies. How do those technologies operate? Navigation systems in the solar system itself, better communication systems. For people who are going to work and live in space, because there'll be people who will be mining the asteroids, possibly mining the moon for minerals that we need down here on Earth, rare earth metals and things like that. Therefore, they'll have to be living and working in space itself. So that's the vision they're looking at. And I thought the interesting thing here is the robots going out and exploring using AI technology to explore the planets and the moons, which I think is quite an interesting development, something that Elon Musk is going to be hopefully working on in just the next few years.
Wow, it sounds good, because that's not actually that far away, is it, 2040? So we need to get a wiggle on.
Yeah, well, this is the different thing, what they hope to be doing, and which I think is quite interesting, because by 2040 hopefully there's going to be all these people living on Mars, and the HS2 will not be running yet, which I find interesting.
It's true. Yeah, you put that into a bit of context for us. Andy Lown, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to see you, my good man. Andy Lown there, space and planetary scientist. Yeah, slightly damning that, I think, isn't it? That we would have life on Mars, but not HS2.
I think it's very exciting to have life on Mars. I'd also want HS2 to be scrapped completely, but that's a separate issue. I think the European Space Agency, all these European bodies, spend less time looking into the stars and more time looking to Europe and this Earth.
The thing is, you don't have voles on Mars, do you? You don't have bats that need their own special tunnel.
Big
you
bat
don't have.
Well, we don't know, do we? I mean, we might find all sorts of things on Mars.
The whole thing would be scuppered. Discovering a rare space vole.
There's newts here as well.
How awful if you got there and to greet you was Elon Musk. That would be horrendous.
Come on, Nina.
Also, didn't you love Andy's suit?
Yes.
Where did you get that? Was fantastic.
Yeah, no, indeed. Well, would anyone here volunteer to go to Mars?
Oh, in my last decade, I would, yeah. I'm not quite ready yet, but it would be a hell of a way to go out, I think, yeah.
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 Well, that's one of the things that Elon Musk has said, hasn't he? That he wants to die on Mars, but not on impact. So there we go. All right, I'm just going to round up, just in case you are just tuning in now, and it's also, I don't know, coming up to probably 10 to 6 in the morning. I want to remind you of what your newspapers are. So let's start with the Daily Telegraph. Lord Herman, our dear Attorney General, says war on Iran may be illegal. He thinks we should limit ourselves to purely defensive support. So there we are. The Sun, war of the words. They've gone for President Trump versus the Ayatollah. Trump's in that will I, won't I phase of killing the Ayatollah, so we'll have to wait and see. The Daily Express, they say assisted dying law would be a wonderful present for mum. It's an Esther Ranson story, and really, it is that, isn't it, really, that maybe, you know, it'd be quite a good thing for Esther Ranson if she got her wish on assisted dying. The Daily Mail benefits bill is on course to rocket by 18 billion quid a year. That's if nothing is done, apparently. However, the Mirror are saying that if you do cut it, it would be a catastrophe. So loads of people would miss out, the genuinely disabled. So the left and the right-wing press there are doing their best to try to poo-poo everything. The front page of The Guardian reads, I may do, I may not. Trump keeps world waiting on US joining the war with Iran. The Times as well. Britain could support US to strike Iran from the air. Well, not according to our Attorney General, who thinks it would be illegal. But anyway, thank you very much to my wonderful panel, Simon, Nina and Alex. I will be back with you all tomorrow at 9 p.m. If you are joining us in the morning, please do stay tuned for breakfast. I'll see you then. Take care.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. I'm here with your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. We are now in a heat wave and we're going to continue to see these heat wave conditions for some lingering right through the weekend. It's all because, well, high pressure is across us at the moment and that's bringing a lot of sunshine for many places and that's leading to some pretty high temperatures of building. But taking a look as we go through tonight, and there's a bit more cloud across some parts of Scotland, central into northern Scotland as well, with a little bit of drizzly rain across far western parts. Away from this, though, lots of clear skies and lots of dry weather to be had, and temperatures not dropping a huge amount. So it is going to be a particularly warm night for many places, some places holding up in the high teens Celsius. So it is going to be a fine start to the day for most, and across the bulk of England and Wales, a sunny start, just a bit of cloud towards some eastern parts of England first thing. Heading further north and across Northern Ireland and Northern England, lots of sunshine here through through the morning. Meanwhile, for Scotland, a cloudier picture here, particularly across central and western parts. A bit of rain at times. Meanwhile, across the north, away from Orkney and Shetland, where there will be a few showers, many parts of northern and eastern Scotland having a bright start. But that cloud across central parts of Scotland does feed a little bit further northwards, so northern and eastern parts turning a bit cloudier as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere and across the rest of the country, well, it is looking largely sunny, and with that sunshine, temperatures rising a few degrees higher than today. We're looking at highs of around 30 Celsius for some places, so feeling pretty hot indeed. With that hot weather, though, there's the risk of some showers, and these are going to affect some western parts as we go through Friday. Can't rule out a bit of thunder, but most of us will avoid these showers, particularly towards the north and east, where it should stay dry and pretty bright, if not sunny. We have higher temperatures forecast for many as we go into the weekend, particularly across central and eastern parts, peaking around 32 or 33.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.